Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is LaShawn Jenkins, and I am the proud principal here at W.A. Patillo, located in Tarboro, North Carolina, also located in Edgecombe County. And with me is one of my outstanding sixth graders, and I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Kyler White, and I'm a sixth grader here at Patillo.
And so this is episode number 1 of Principles from a Principal. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to tell you how this was birthed, all right? So one day in my office, me and Kaizen were talking about some things which we don't necessarily have to disclose. And he asked me a question. And he said, why did you become a principal? And so we talked about how this would be a great idea for me and him to kind of co-host this little episode of these video clips about just the collaboration that it takes between principals and their students, right? Mm-hmm. Remember asking me that question that day? All right. So let me ask you this. So, Kaizen, why did you ask me that question? Like, what prompted you to ask me a question like that?
Because, just like, all the other principals out here, it's like, more hard. It's not like tough love and stuff. Like, you push more and thrive for more kids to do better. So that's why I asked.
Okay, so let's unpack that for a little bit. All right. So you said of all the principals you've had, this particular experience for you, having a new principal, you're saying like, I push harder. There's more tough love, but you're saying that why is that different for you?
Because all like other principals, like you said one day, you said other principals care about your feelings and stuff, but you care about feelings a little bit, but you care about more what you're gonna be in the future and stuff.
Wait a minute. So you remember me saying that? Wow, I didn't even know you remembered that. I thought by that point you had tuned me out. So you're right. I said I do care about your future. So I don't necessarily care so much about your feelings in that moment. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's good, man. So, this is helpful to know that when I'm lecturing you and some of the other kids that you're actually listening to me. So from a sixth grade perspective, like we want to talk about not only like your experience with your principal, but we also want to talk about like some of the principals, right? Which is kind of like one of the things you just mentioned. So as a sixth grader in middle school, as you're trying to, find your way, which, you guys you think you're on your grown man status, you think you already know all the answers, but how important is it to you to have a principal in your school that maybe you can relate to, or a principal that you have a relationship with, or a principal that you feel like you connect with?
It's important because some people might not relate or can talk to teachers, but you got a principal. You know what I'm saying? You can go to the principal and like to check anything that you got, checking everyone, talk about stuff, going through stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can talk about it with the principal. Because some teachers might not understand or always like under pressure. Because I know you hold everybody accountable for everything, so they might just be like always under pressure or like busy one day, but you be busy too, but sometimes you just sit there and listen. So it's very important to have a principal.
So you think you know my job better than I do? You said I always hold everybody accountable. How you know all this, man?
Cause like you always hold me accountable, so I know you hold me accountable, and I've seen you hold teachers accountable for stuff they do too. So I know if you hold me and them accountable, you hold everybody accountable too, even if you like them.
Gotcha. Even if I like them. Because what I'll tell you guys all the time in grade level meetings, a red flag or a sign that someone really loves you is that they always tell you what?
What, the truth.
The truth. Yeah, the truth. That's good, man. So in speaking with that, you just kind of articulated like what you want out of a principal. So what are some of those principles that you're learning, right? So and it's okay to say, you can say like, Mr. Jenkins, man, look, I ain't learned nothing from you yet. What are some of those principles? That means like some of those ideas that you can apply to your everyday life as a middle school sixth grader.
Always tell your loved ones stuff that they don't want to hear. Always tell your loved ones stuff that they don't want to hear. Always tell your loved ones the right stuff even when they don't want to hear it.
Right. So what you taking that principle, when I tell you guys that people who love you tell you the truth, you've applied that into your everyday life, like even with your loved ones, like your mom, your sister, like I got to tell you the truth, even if it's something that you don't want to hear. Okay, that makes sense. That's good, Kaizen. That's really good. That makes a lot of sense, man. So what has been the biggest adjustment for you having a new principal like this late in the school year?
I had to adjust to the personality, cause
You had to adjust to my personality? What you trying to say?
Cause like it's different. Like you always gotta be on point. For like never know where you at any second, any moment. So like you always gotta be ready.
So that's good. So you feel like you always got to be on point because you never know when I'm gonna pull up or pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's good. And what did you today when I came in your classroom 6th period? What did you tell me?
I won't get caught slipping again.
You told me that you were not gonna get caught slipping again. I like that, man. That's a bold. You know, we do that every day on the announcement. We that's a bold affirmation that you said you're not gonna get caught slipping again. And that's your way to me of saying, like, Mr. Jenkins, you know what? I'm learning, I'm developing, I'm adjusting. Like, I'm on my grind now. Like, you're not gonna catch me slipping. That's good, man. Outstanding. So, one time you told me, as we start to wind down episode 1, one time you told me, I think maybe I had it was in one of those moments where I was having to really apply some tough love on you. Mm-hmm. And then my office got really quiet. And then 5 minutes later, out of nowhere, you said, in 5 to 10 years, I'm probably gonna thank you. Articulate that. Like, what was that like? Tell me where that came from and what that meant to you.
Because as you were sending me home for 2 days, I thought and I said, what if you just let me do what I want to do and like cut some slack on me? Then when I really get on the outside world, I'm always think somebody gonna let me do what I want to do and cut some slack on me. But in the outside world, you always don't get what you want to get. Like you always can't have your way. So when I'm ready to go to the outside world, I'll be prepared because always hold me accountable for everything.
Wow. So even though you were upset in the moment, you realized that, you know what? Years later, I'm gonna appreciate this. Wow. Okay. So Kaizen, as episode 1 winds down, man, any closing, there'll be educators who are gonna watch this. Your family will probably watch this. You have any closing, any comments from episode 1 of Principles from a Principal? I mean, you helped birth this vision, right? Like, it was birthed through your question. Like, you asked me that one question and it made me realize, like, how cool would it be for us to engage in like this unadulterated conversation between the principal and one of his students, right? So any closing comments you like to say to everyone who might watch this?
Let's watch.
And one thing I want to say is, let me tell you something. This kid, in my opinion, is absolutely like amazing. And so one thing that for future leaders out there who will watch these episodes, I want you guys to understand how important it is to speak positively in the life of your students, to let your students know how much you care for them, to tell your students, particularly your male students of color, like who don't necessarily hear it. Like, it's okay for you to tell your male students that you love them, that you care about them, right? Because I tell you guys that all the time, correct? Mm-hmm. Do y'all say it back or no?
I do.
Okay, you say okay. So so it's completely safe. It's part of your school culture. It's important for you to be able to build those relationships so that you can share moments like this. Like, I mean, the one thing that really touches my heart, Kaizen, is like you were like saying, hey, yeah, like Mr. Jenkins had to send me home for 2 days. But in that moment, I know that it was because, 1, he has to hold me accountable. And 2, because we're sitting here, I clearly didn't hold that against you, right? Mm-hmm. So, well, anyway, man, listen, this has been episode number 1 of Principles from the Principal and my co-host, Kaizen White. So stay tuned to more episodes coming to a school near you. Take care.